Intuitive Approach of Shankara's Vedanta by Sri D.B. GangoLLi, AdhyAtma PrakAsha KAryAlaya, Bangalore, HoLenaraseepura. This is the 14th book what we are seeing in the English series published by AdhyAtma PrakAsha KAryAlaya. In this book we have already seen 3 sessions. Today's is the 4th session. Intuitive Approach of Shankara's Vedanta. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Dr. Krishnamurti Shastri, Dambe, Punacha, Bantwala Taluk, Dakshina Kannada Jille, Karnataka, Bharata. The question 4, then in that case, those who do not possess these sadhana sampat will not be able to cognize or comprehend the real purport of the Vedanta teachings. Is it so? Answer. It is possible to know as to what has been propounded in the Upanishads by determining the meaning of the sentences, but those who undertake to comprehend the word meaning literally in that fashion may stop their deliberation at that stage itself, just like those who read the newspapers with all curiosity or eagerness. However, to those who do not try to cognize what has been listened to from the scriptures so as to culminate in their intuitive experience, the benefit which has to accrue from the Vedantic teaching or instruction will never be attained. For such people, instead of attempting to determine or discriminate about the essential nature of reality behind the universe, will be ever hankering after the sensual enjoyments in the external world. In this regard, the scripture says, Parachaha kamanuyanti balaste mrutyoryanti vitatasya pasham ath dhira amrutatvam viditva dhruvamadhruveshviha na prarthayante, meaning only those who are devoid of viveka or discrimination pursue desires or pleasures in the external world. They are like innocent children who are becoming a prey for death, which has cast its net everywhere. Therefore, those who are blessed with the ability to discriminate intuit that immortal reality, which happens to be everyone's self of the essence of pure being consciousness, intuitive experience, remain without hankering after anything in this samsara or transmigratory existence, knowing full well that nothing here that can be acquired is eternal. Kataka or Kathopanishad 4.2. Next, 5th question. Is it true that to obtain jnana or intuitive knowledge accruing from the Vedantic teaching, listening, shravana, to the Upanishadic precepts alone is enough? Answer. Although for those Uttamadhikaris or the superior, highly qualified, evolved persons who are infinitesimally small in number, exclusively the exercise of listening to the Upanishadic teachings alone may be sufficient for the numerous aspirants. That kind of listening to the scriptural texts like Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras in addition, and then to collate and cogitate so as to find complete agreement in all their spiritual teachings will become necessary. For the Upanishads are the fundamental Shastra Prasthana or Shruti Prasthana, meaning a scientific system of approach. The Gita is a Smriti Prasthana or a system based on memory adopted to explain the subtle purport or secrets of intuitive knowledge implicit in the Upanishads. And the Brahma Sutras comprise the Nyaya Prasthana or logical system adopted to establish or determine the real purport of the Vedantic teaching by means of dialectics, intuitive reasoning or ratiocinations, etc. Thus, true Vedantic jnana has perforce to be determined on the strength of this triad of authoritative scriptural texts called Prasthanatraya. 6th question. Then, is it that anyone, whosoever he may be, can listen to those Prasthanatrayas and determine the real meaning or purport of Vedanta? Answer. For those qualified people who are independently sagacious and intuitive in their reasoning and who have carried out vedadhyana or study of the scriptural texts in the required traditional or conventional manner, these three prasthanas alone are sufficient. But in the case of those who are not sufficiently qualified to discern and determine the subtle purport of the Shastras, will do well to grasp, comprehend the purport in accordance with the traditional methodology as propounded by Sri Shankaracharya in his extant and extensive bhashyas, commentaries. Question 7. It seems that like Sri Shankaracharya, there are other Vrittikaras or commentators also. Neglecting or brushing aside all of them, why this compulsory insistence on determining the subtle meaning or purport of Vedanta exclusively on the strength of his teachings alone is stressed? Answer. It is true that prior to and contemporaneous with Sri Shankaracharya, with a view to determine the purport of the Vedantic texts, many had written their own vrittis or commentaries. But as a matter of historical fact, the veracity of this statement about other rival commentaries having been in existence prior to or during Sri Shankara's time can be ascertained solely from this great Acharya's own reference and analysis or refutation of such works, for none of them is available today. Therefore, it has become inevitable to ascertain the opinions of these ancient Vrittikaras exclusively from such considerations and deliberations of their tenets found in Sri Shankara's extant bhashyas. Eighth question. In recent times, it is to be seen that many post-Shankara commentators have been clamoring that their respective commentary alone is sampradayic or traditionally the genuine one, and in addition they have been refuting Sri Shankara's teachings. Will it not be proper to utilize their opinions too in our effort to determine the real purport of the Upanishadic spiritual teachings? Answer. It has already been pointed out that unfortunately such opinions of other commentators either prior to or contemporaneous with Sri Shankara have to be ascertained only from the later bhashyas themselves. Sri Shankara has proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that all the defects existing in the various kinds of vyakhyanas or commentaries of those rival commentators are correct. Further, although those post-Shankara commentators and critics have been claiming that their own theories alone are sampradayic or traditionally authentic and authoritative, the ancient original canonical texts which they adduce in their works are not at all available to it. Such authoritative works seem to be imaginary and are a clever ruse to hoodwink the gullible and unwary students. It is also a hard fact that those fictitious variants of Vedantic Siddhanta which these zealots have brought out have not been referred to and considered either by Adi Shankara himself or other Darshanakaras, spiritual preceptors who were his contemporaries. Hence, one who considers this matter dispassionately with an unbiased mind will inevitably have to say that in order to conclude that those spiritual teachings or theories have come down to us from time immemorial in a traditionally acknowledged method of pedagogics, merely their pledge to that effect is the support or proof. Next, ninth question. Is it not true that the rest of the commentators too, just like Sri Shankara, have established their respective tenets on the strength and support of scriptural statements and logical arguments, and have further reduced proper logical arguments to show that the spiritual teachings of Sri Shankara himself are opposed to the genuine scriptural teachings as well as logic? Answer. It is true indeed that the present day commentators, Bhashyakaras, claim that they have examined the prasthana or method of approach adopted by Sri Shankara and then only they have refuted his teachings. But we have to thoroughly analyze the fact whether they have truly examined and refuted the Siddhanta propounded by and implicit in Sri Shankara's original bhashyas. Here in this context, what is actually true is these so-called bhashyakaras of the modern times have mistakenly believed and taken to be true those very vyakhyana prasthanas or methodologies found in the later post-Shankara commentaries written by certain so-called Advaita acharyas advocating non-dualism, who have been professing that they are genuine followers of Adi Shankara to be the real Siddhanta of the great teacher. And only after establishing the true methodology of Sri Shankara, the student will be able to discern clearly that the post Shankarites have expounded their respective tenets on the basis of very inept and unsustainable logical means and devices. For these reasons, too, it becomes quite essential to comprehend the real essence of the genuine Shankara Siddhanta after an in depth examination of the true Shankara Prasthana or the genuine original methodology implicit in those original bhashyas alone. Next, 10th question, last question in this first section. In that case, how can we discern the secret purport of Sri Shankara's Prasthana and on what basis? Answer. The answer to this query will be dealt in full detail in the next chapter. So that's the next second chapter. Shankara's Bhashyas alone are the principal means to determine the spiritual teaching of Vedanta. How we shall see in the question and answer format in the next session. So this ends the fourth session of Intuitive Approach of Shankara's Vedanta by Sri D.B. GangoLLi, AdhyAtma PrakAsha KAryAlaya. ಶ್ರೀ ಶ್ರೀ ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದೇಂದ್ರ ಸರಸ್ವತಿ ಚರಣಾರವಿಂದ ಅರ್ಪಿತಮಸ್ತು. ಆದಿಶಂಕರ ಭಗವತ್ಪಾದಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಚರಣಾರವಿಂದ ಅರ್ಪಿತಮಸ್ತು. ಸರ್ವೇ ಜನ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಭವಂತು. ಶ್ರೀ ಡಿ ಬಿ ಗಂಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಚರಣಾರವಿಂದ ಅರ್ಪಿತಮಸ್ತು. ಓಂ ತತ್ಸತ್.